So, since 2007, social networking sites have exploded onto the media scene. I think we all know that. Originally they started as chat rooms for students, but they're now a mainstream communications device for the world, with over 800 million users or so worldwide. And back in 2008, I began to think it was worth trying to get a little share of that opportunity. Let's clear up one, perhaps misnomer, first of all, and that's that a lot of people refer to social media as marketing. I don't think it is marketing. Marketing is push. And I think that social media is about getting in touch with customers and new prospects and customers, engaging with them. We've heard the word engage several times. And I think that's much more public relations. I think it's a PR tool. And the point I'm making is that you should not be thinking of using social media to sell your product. Perhaps that's a better word of using it, to sell your product. It really doesn't work. It's best used, as we've already said, to communicate with potential and customers alike. It's about connecting with people, engaging. If there are three things you should do with social media, it's engage, engage, and engage. It's really very straightforward. Very much a two-way process. It's about both giving and receiving and exchanging information. What are the main components then of social media? You talk about social media, what are we talking about? Twitter? LinkedIn? Facebook? YouTube? Yeah, they're all there. Google Plus, perhaps in the future. The main ones, I think, probably are Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and potentially Google Plus. I think one could argue that YouTube was fairly important, and I certainly believe that. We're just redeveloping our website at the moment, and effectively it will become a Fallowfields TV channel. So YouTube, we won't be using YouTube, we're using the same principles. So, and we're doing that, interesting, because I think people are changing we will hear people's attention span reducing, and that sort of thing. People look at websites, people look at email marketing, and it's they're all getting very bored with it. People look at websites, and websites are all very, very traditional, very, very standard. And so what we're going to be doing is using social media in the form of YouTube sort of technology to make our website look really exciting, engage with people, keep them on the site longer, and give them some interest. Which one is right for your business? I suppose that's the $1,000 question, isn't it? But it's going to be no surprise I don't have the answer to that, because it depends on the business, and it depends on the preferences of the individuals who are going to be engaging and doing the engaging. They say that for hotels, Facebook is best. So I've done it all wrong, because I found, as you'll see at the moment, Twitter to be really quite useful. So perhaps there is no right or wrong. Perhaps really it's just, if you feel the need, get on and do it. But to guide you in doing that, maybe, I'm sure you've thought of this before, but perhaps you should look at what your competitors are doing. There'll be links from all their websites to all their social media sites. You'll be able to look at these, decide what, in your view, is working for them and what is not. And then perhaps, if that media is the one you feel most comfortable with, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, just start. Go for it. It doesn't take a brain surgeon to realise that social media's advantages, there aren't any barriers to entry. They're free to use. It's a level playing field. Get in there and play. Not to. So, what's it done for Fallowfields? What impact has it had? I think these stats speak for themselves. My Twitterings have generated really serious cash inflows, some outstanding PR achievements, and I've extended my brand's reach in a way that would only, frankly, been possible, I think, if I'd employed Max Clifford. Thousands of pounds saved in recruitment fees, 5 members of staff recruited through Twitter. Generally speaking, one thinks of LinkedIn as being a recruitment vehicle, doesn't one? But Twitter has a place there as well. It's increased traffic to my website by some 20% or so, and I've no idea of how much of that traffic I've converted into business. In recent weeks, last month, we've been approached by Channel 4's Four in a Bed programme for their next series, and we've also been approached by the Restaurant Inspector, Channel 5's The Restaurant Inspector, and those wouldn't have happened without my involvement in social media. So PR benefits absolutely major. So the big question, of course, is how much time does all of this involve? And that's on all our questions, we're all on our minds, we're all busy people. And I will admit I have invested a phenomenal amount of time in social media. Sometimes that has been 2 or 3 hours a day. I'm fortunate perhaps that I work 7 days a week, so much of that maybe will be at the weekend, and I will do some research, or even spend 6 hours maybe on a Saturday or a Sunday developing social media tools, or understanding social media tools and putting them into place and using them effectively. Now, I treat it much more, so having put in the investment, the heavy investment, I treat it much more as just another communications channel, another communications stream. So I had something like 200 messages this morning on Twitter, perhaps 20 or 30 on Facebook. And I do actually look at those communication streams before I check my emails, largely because that's where the interest is, that's where the things are happening. I just looked a moment ago, I've had half a dozen tweets on Twitter from people who had lunch here today. I've got to respond to those. An email, in a sense, is not as urgent as that. I have to respond, I have to say thank you, I have to... but just think, those half a dozen mentions across my network of people and across their networks of people has created an exposure for my brand that really is quite extraordinary just this afternoon. Yes.
These metrics, are they measured in some way, or are they judgment calls?
No. I stopped counting revenue. I genuinely counted revenue for the first 18 months, and I stopped. After the first 18 months, we reached 100,000. The 50 of that is just judgmental because I'll be doing it for another 2 years. And I mean, every day I'm getting bookings on Twitter. So accurate.
So people physically book using Twitter?
Yeah.
They'll tweet you and say, have you got a take?
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you were saying you can't sell your product on Twitter, obviously you've gone beyond this.
But that's well, but that's not me saying, hey, I've got a room tonight, although I do some of that. That is people who've heard, they've been reference sold or whatever, and they're saying, hey, it's the quickest and best way to contact me. That's where they're getting the information from. So I pass that then to my reception, who then does the actual booking.
And those 6 tweets that you've had today, one assumes they're all positive, and
Thank
they're
you.
all complimentary, and they're all saying, what a wonderful lunch, and so publicly you're going to say, thank you for coming.
Yes.
How do you handle the negative things?
Well, we are quite fortunate in I haven't really had to face that problem, but I think you just simply have to face up to it. Hold your hand up, let everybody see that you're holding your hand up, and letting everybody see that you're doing something about it. Just how we would handle, and yes, of course, from time to time we do have niggles and moans and that thing. Somebody said, when is it supposed to talk about one's problems? But Sunday lunch and some of the roast potatoes, frankly, didn't go out as I would have wanted them to be. Well, we handle that on the spot. The rest of lunch is fantastic. So now maybe it's 30 minutes a day, maybe an hour a day. It's just part of my daily routine. But I can justify that investment because prior to starting in social media, I used to spend 12, 20 hours a week networking. BNI, 4N, all these sorts of events. I don't do any of that now. So it's been a total replacement, and I actually would prefer to be sitting in my office doing the communicating than travelling to Oxford, dead time in the car, speaking perhaps to people that one doesn't. Here I can select who I want to speak to. Harshly put. So I have got some crossover there. I have to say it's been a lot of fun, and I met some fantastic people as a result.